Omaha City Council voted all in favor to approve a plan today designed to eliminate traffic deaths.
The Vision Zero plan is now one step away from becoming official. 6 News' Joe Harris was at the hearing and joins us live with the details.
John and Aaron, the vote came after the council heard testimony overwhelmingly in favor of the Vision Zero plan. This has been something the community has worked on since Mayor Gene Stothert talked about having a Vision Zero task force 4 years ago. Since then, the city, safety advocates, transit agencies, and others have collaborated to look at factors leading to the deadly and serious injury crashes. What they came up with is what they put before the city council today. It calls for lowering speeds, bolstering police enforcement and traffic safety education to make it safer for drivers and pedestrians, and road designs to make the streets themselves safer. One supporter warns, though, that any action plan is only as good as the amount of support it gets in implementing it.
Many cities have seen their efforts fail due to lack of funding, lack of political leadership, and lack of thoughtful oversight. But from what I've seen as a member of the Technical Advisory Committee and what I hope to see here today, we do believe we have the support of leaders and city departments, and the plan already includes mechanisms for oversight.
Now that plan will go to the mayor's office for approval. Live from the newsroom, Joe Harris, 6 News.
New report.